Hello, everyone. It's been a interesting day for me, but this is United World of Sports. I'm Dante Suave. This is Mr. J,
Going
and
on, folks?
let's go ahead and get started. I want to talk about the article that I found. Seat college football headquarters on Sports Illustrated. Steve Spurrier has big concerns about ending the SEC championship. And let's see. According to the article, it was written by Matt DeLima 3 days ago. The Alabama athletic director Greg Byrne recently suggested that the SEC should consider eliminating the annual football championship. Byrne argued that expanding the college playoff to 12 games makes the extra game a potential liability for high-ranking programs. So the proposal has sparked a debate among the sports influential figures about the necessity of the conference title games. Many administrators worry that a loss in the championship could drop a team out of the playoff field entirely. Uh, Former Steve Spurrier recently weighed in on the discussion. The legendary coach expressed significant reservations about removing the game that has defined the conference over 3 decades. Kirby Smart also recently said he doesn't believe the conference championship game needs to be changed. Like I was telling you, I'm tired of all this change, and the reason why I'm tired of it is because you're supposed to be changing it for the better, and if it's for the better, then that means you ain't doing nothing else. But that's not what's happening. It's like, oh, we're gonna change it for the better. Got to make more changes. Oh, well, we're gonna make this change, and then we should be good. Nope, still not good. Got to make another change. When is it gonna end?
Never. It's never going to end. And the reason why it's never going to end is because when the SEC came up with the idea of having, when they split into an East to West division, and they said, okay, we're going to start having a championship game with the top from the East, the top from the West. You made it to where you yourself, you expanded because what? You wanted a bigger footprint. You wanted more revenue for the conference.
Uh-huh.
Then you implemented a championship game. Why? You wanted a week-long showcase of your conference in a city, which and playing in a major NFL stadium to have your top two teams from each division go up against each other for the right to say that they were the SEC champ. So you basically made it to where it was the SEC Super Bowl. Now, what hurt you was that your conference, your divisions were so unbalanced to where you might have an undefeated team on one end and a 3 or 4 loss team on the other end going up against each other. That wasn't a good matchup. So what happens after a few times of people having to pay to fly to Atlanta, pay for lodging that's going to be extra expensive during that time frame for it, pay for all the events, play for the game, go into the game, and then the game is whole hung. After a while, what's people going to do? They're going to go for the events. They're not going to go for the game. And the game is what's generating the most revenue from the ticket sales that you want from it and from the television rights for it. But television, as we know, is not going to want to be showing a half empty stadium for championship, for major football games. They're not going to want to do that. So if you seating the Mercedes-Benz Dome at 75% capacity or 60 to 75% capacity, the next time your deal comes up, they're not going to want to pay the extra amount of money to make sure they televise that SEC championship game. I just saw something to where I think either um Fox is trying to offload or NBC's trying to offload the Big Ten championship back to Fox because part of their agreement was they supposed to have it for 1 year and they don't want to show it. And they're trying to offload it back to Fox. Like, here you go, you can have it back. Y'all can go ahead and show it. And they charging Fox like only maybe about 60% of what they paid in order to get the rights to show it for that year. Because it's not the buildup like it was before. When you have the only way that the conferences are going to make it to where, as gluttonous as they became with cannibalizing other conferences in order to build up their numbers, in order to have these super leagues in there for it, the only way that it's going to work is your number one, you get away from the divisions, and your number one versus number two battles for your conference championship. Not no East versus West, not no North versus South, not no some team, not ACC where you got a team from Texas and a team from California playing against it, and they neither one of them on the Atlantic coast. You have to. That's the only way it's going to work. The best case scenario for any of the conferences that happened was last year when you had Indiana versus Ohio State for the Big Ten championship, because you had the two best teams going at each other for the Big Ten championship. And you couldn't dispute that. But everybody else, shit, what was the one that we was clamoring about with the ACC? How the hell did Duke get involved? And why is Duke sitting up there saying because they won, they deserve to be in the college football playoff? And we sat there and played around trying to figure out what the tiebreaker was that got Duke into the championship to where they could pull off the upset. That is a case to where you can sit there and say, oh yeah, we need to do away with the ACC championship. Because you got a team that wasn't even in the top 5 of your conference, but because they was in a weak division and they had the tiebreaker, got into the championship game and then upset your top seed.
And then and then the underdogs would be like, that would be the prime reason to do it. That because you could have an upset, and that would just be great for the game. And,
Right. But
and, and,
at the end of the day, the only way that you get it right is say there's no divisions. You balance out the schedule with how it is. If anything, you don't want. Here's the thing: you don't want it because it's an unfair advantage against your The unfair advantage is your team loses in that championship. Which one is a more unfair advantage? Losing that championship game, which is the last eye test before anybody gets into the tournament against a lower record team in a championship game, or losing it against a 2 or 3 win team in your own conference during the conference season instead of playing a cupcake and running through them and adding those games in there to make your schedule balance.
you know what? Money is. I'm reading further while you're talking, and basically it's like you were just saying, it's coming down to the money because, um, if they were to get rid of the the implications on this is like dire, because not only would they lose like 30 million if they get rid of the that championship.
Mm-hmm.
um Apparently, if you really think about it, it would be bad. The selection committee, they would lose a critical game that they need to point out the let's see here. Uh, it says a future of college football postseason structure. Eliminating the conference title games would have several unintended consequences for the sport at the national
Mm-hmm.
level. Without these games, the national committee would lose a critical head to head data point for the differential of the top teams. And one major ramification involves television networks, like you were saying, that pays billions for the broadcasting rights. Removing these
Mm-hmm.
games might reduce the value of the media
uh,
contracts and lead to a
which is what that
decline
is, which is
in
what.
overall athletic department budgets.
Mm-hmm.
And it's
But
like,
this is the hole that you backed yourselves into when you got What is the one thing that we talk about gluttony? When you get gluttonous, you have, and your stomach gets used to being stretched out that far, you have to keep eating in order to keep it satisfied.
yeah,
You cannot sit there and all of a sudden and be gluttonous and then say, okay, well, I want to cut this part of my diet out and think that your stomach's going to sit up there and be happy with you because you didn't kept it fat and full for so long. You can't do that. And the one thing, the metric that they sit up here talking about, let's call a spade a spade. Would Alabama have gotten into the college football playoff if they would have not had to play Georgia?
yeah. That's a question.
And see that,
That's
and
a
that's the
completely
thing.
legit
Because if
question.
you look at
And matter of fact, that's what they're talking about. Additionally, a loss of the championship game could diminish the importance of the late season rivalries. Many programs end the year with rivalry games and with less to play for at the end of the year. Those contests could suffer. Teams that have already clinched a high seed might choose to rest starters during the final week of the regular season
so
because they gotta make it pro, baby. Yeah.
here's the crazy part. Here's the crazy part. I'm looking at the SEC standings from last year, right?
Right.
They played an 8-game conference season. You had 4 7-1 teams in the SEC: Texas A&M, Ole
Yeah.
Miss, Georgia, and Alabama.
Yeah.
Based off they tiebreakers, I'm trying to see what it was. I'm looking at the standings because the championship was Alabama, Georgia, right? If
Yeah.
I remember correctly, that was a championship game. So if Alabama and Georgia got in there, was it because Georgia beat Ole Miss, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
So if Georgia beat Ole Miss and then Texas A&M had a loss against Alabama from it, I'm trying to remember how they broke it down to where the reason why Georgia and Alabama got in that championship. But let's be real, Georgia went to the second round of the tournament. Ole Miss was in the championship. No, Ole Miss was in the semifinal, and they barely lost that semifinal game, going back and forth with Miami.
Yeah.
And A&M, I think A&M lost to Miami. That was their opening round.
They did.
Okay, so and Alabama just got completely boat raced.
Yeah.
So your two championship teams, only one of them got boat raced twice back to back games. And then one of them that should have probably, I think it would have been a bigger game if it would have been Ole Miss and Georgia instead of Georgia and Alabama. But because Alabama's name cachet, they travel. And that wasn't how they expected it. You can't sit there and turn around and keep on fighting those metrics in order to make it stand up for what you want it to be, and then turn around and look at the whole angle of it all and say, okay, was Alabama really our second best team in the SEC? Shoot, in all fairness, was Georgia really the best team in the SEC? I wouldn't have thought that. I didn't think Georgia was that strong. But that's how that whole game goes when it comes to that. It's not how it used to be, and they need to go back into, you know what, top two teams. Treat it like it was in the olden days and before we had a tournament. You made it to where your number one, your number two BCS teams went up against each other in the tournament. Get rid of the conferences and say, okay, based off the rankings, our top two teams in these conferences is going up against each other in the tournament, up against each other for the championship. Stop doing East and West. Stop doing North and South. Stop doing A and B. Just make it to where who's the top two. And if team three got something to say about it and they got losses against one of the two teams, you ain't got nothing to say about it. You should have beat them. Make it to where the regular season counts. See, and somebody has a question out there on Google. How is no, it didn't say how.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, like I said, this is and like we agreed upon, this is just gonna be a waste of time because every time they make a change, somebody gonna complain, and you're gonna have to make another change. So, I
The
mean,
only the, in all fairness, the only change that they could do realistically, and I have been thinking about it off and on, and it kind of kills it kills my original theory that we fought over so long, where I was saying you need to get rid of the
uh-huh.
preseason poll and let them deal with that. Rank your top eight teams at the begin your top eight, your top 10, whatever it is, and have them play 1 versus 10, two versus 9, your opening week of the season. Give them one cupcake after that, and then the rest of the season, give them a 9-game conference season. Because all of these conferences got enough to where you can schedule a 9-game season. That way, it won't be an even number. It won't be unless they pretty much matched up with head to heads and everything else. It will be somehow skewed to where some team might be 8-1, one might be 7-2. You get a definitive amount of how many people, who's in your top of it, and then either use your tiebreaker system for your conference, or you take that tiebreaker system away for the conference and you say based off of their rankings, their BCS rankings for it, they're both for it. That's how you get picked in order to play for your conference championship. That way, you're making the teams have to fight their best in order to get ranked high, in order for them even to get to the conference championship. Because that would eliminate a lot of the arguments that you had. That would eliminate, that would pretty much, the only person that wouldn't have an argument is the one that we always say is the girlfriend, is the side chick that always wants to be in the middle of everybody's business, and that's Notre Dame.
Right. Which they still are sitting up there, um, not really budging from what they're doing, and they're gonna be they're gonna be mad again next year.
No, because here's the thing. If you sit up there and you think about it, Notre Dame ended their rivalry with USC. They ended another one with Boston College. They're ending long-standing rivalry games with people to try to get on with other teams that are either highly ranked or highly
Well,
followed teams.
USC was willing to do it, but the thing that Notre Dame didn't like was they were they were trying to dictate when the game was going to be.
But that's the thing. Okay, let's call a spade a spade. Notre Dame, if you want USC to be at your last game of the season or toward the tail end of the season like you used to have it, pony up the money. You're the independent. You're the person that's dictating
Yeah,
their own schedule.
yeah,
You can't.
but Colin Cowherd was like he was like adamantly going on talking about this. This is so according to the information that he got, basically what it was um USC said, no, we're not playing that. Either you play early or we drop it. Those are your choices. And
Right.
and and because that whole thing of by the time we play, it's gonna be almost winter time, and like no, and plus they already got to do all that traveling anyway. No,
Exactly.
if they gonna do it, they gonna do it when they want to do it. They're gonna do it outside of the conference play
Mm-hmm.
because they already gonna be traveling hard. So yeah, they basically they wanted to dictate the terms, and Notre Dame didn't like it, and which on the one hand I can see where they're coming from, but at the end of the day, this is what you get when you sit up there and go, hey, everybody start moving. Go here, go there.
But see,
Go.
but the other part about that is that nobody expected for nobody expected for the Pac-10 to dissolve like it did. Because you gotta remember the Pac-10 when it dissolved, it was because the they left the door open because of their television rights issues that they were having with, which we were just talking about, is the main thing that dictates a lot of how these conferences move, because it's billions of dollars getting distributed across the teams. When they couldn't lock down a exclusive media relations rights for them for their television broadcast, they package. That's when Oregon them jumped at the chance to sit up there and say, well, the Big Ten already got their network. They already got they self-established from it. We'll take the risk in order to give us that money and then make sure that we got that steady income coming into our coffers. And
Yes.
that screwed up a lot of stuff. But in that same instance, the same team that's complaining because now instead of it being a weak Pac 12 back in SC, and SC sitting up there, all the things that you said, SC was like, we don't want to we already got to travel all the way out to Rutgers, and we already got to go to Indiana, and we got to go to Ohio State, or we got to go to
Wisconsin and
Michigan,
Ohio State.
Wisconsin,
Yeah.
everything else like that. Why wouldn't we want to go to? We don't want to go back in the middle of the winter to go to Notre Dame for this game. Let's pull it up and make it even with that. You got the Big Ten sitting up there also behind them saying, yeah, we don't want our teams, or especially one of our mainstay teams now, to be having to do that extra travel for you, side chick, that don't want to be affiliated with nobody, but you want things to be ran the way that you want it to be ran. So no, we're gonna back whatever they decide, but we're gonna suggest to them, nah, you don't want to go in November to go over to South Bend. Because which one? Think about it from this standpoint. If you had the option to play Notre Dame in South Bend or Michigan at the Big House, which one you think you're gonna want to take?
Michigan.
Exactly. So sorry, your leverage, that independent thing. Yes, you're Notre Dame. Yes, you have been on a run of being pretty good for the past couple of years, but you're not the Notre Dame of old. You are resting on your laurels of your past ghosts that you have built your program on. And ghosts can only last so long before they fade away. And you need to, and this is where their whole thing where, oh, we'll be side chick affiliated with the with the ACC, and they, if anything, their bargaining got diminished worse with how the ACC played them in order to make sure that Miami got into the tournament last year. And then look at how that worked out. Miami made it to the national championship game. They look like roses. So nah, they can sit there all they want to and be mad about it, but that is all Notre Dame's doing. Notre Dame can end a whole bunch of their stuff if they just was to just say, you know what, we would like to be a part of the Big Ten Conference, or we would like to be a part of the ACC that we already have a side affiliated with. Throw a curveball, join somebody else, but make it to where you cause chaos in order to do that. Stop trying to have everybody else has their rules and then it's Notre Dame rules.
Yeah.
That's what it's been for the longest time, and that's not paid off for them except for that 1 year where Freeman got them to the national championship that first year of the tournament. Other than that, it hasn't paid off. Brian Kelly was the biggest microcosm of that. Oh yeah, we bloviate, we beat all these teams, we did that. We get into a main game, we get our ass waxed.
Jesus Christ. I know that you didn't like the lineup, but I like the lineup. Um, because looking at it, is four. I know three Hall of Famers. I know you looked at Chase and you was like, "No, nah, he ain't a Hall of Famer yet. This shouldn't be a question." I, I as soon as I looked at it, I knew who had to go for me.
Who
So
had to go? Okay, because
let, let, let-
I actually, who had to
yeah,
go?
let me remind you, it was a one has to go. It was Jamar Chase, T.O., Randy, and Calvin. I already knew who I was picking. Um, and it's and the reason why I'm picking him is because I'm remembering his entire career, the good and the bad, and I feel bad picking him because of the good, but that bad to me, the bad decisions cost him potential championships. And I just, I'm sorry, I don't want that on my team unless it's on my video game. On my video game, I know I'm gonna win the championship. When if I had an actual team and I could do without him, without his antics, and I just To would be the first one. To would be the one that would go for me.
Okay, I feel you. I feel you on that one. So I'll when you sent it to me, and give everybody a background. When he sent this to me with Jamar Chase on there, my immediate response was nah, nah.
It's too
It's
early.
not no point. It's too early.
Yeah.
The reason being is that Jamar Chase is just now going into year 7, and his numbers aren't even in the same. His yearly numbers are in the same stratosphere, but his career numbers are not there yet with that.
Right. Right.
So it's and
I,
then
I could
but
respect it from that standpoint, but my
right,
thing was, just who would you have on your team? That's the way I
right.
was thinking.
Oh, and see, if you're saying who would I want on my team, yeah, To would be the person to go. Would be that instance of it, but it would be because of what you said, because of the issues with that. Now, with that being said, one of the biggest things about that list that people fail to realize is none of the people on that list have a championship.
Right. I did. Yeah. I did notice that. But
Yeah,
for me, I would worry about Randy.
I would.
The one that I would worry about the least would be Calvin,
Right. Because
and
Calvin
then Jamar
played through
next.
everything. Calvin and Jamar would be next. Randy and T.O. would be at the bottom of it. But the thing about it would be, attitude wise, I would go with Randy. The
Yeah.
actual skill set during that time frame is almost a toss up in their primes, because Randy could take over a game, T.O. could take over a game. It would be crazy with that. It just would boil down to the fact of, at the end of the day, To, for everything that he did and all the stats that he did, he ended up being more of a headache than an asset in pretty much every
And
place he ended up. And that's not, for a team that's not going to be conducive of that.
yeah, that's what got me. And
Yeah.
I'm like, no, nah, that's for me, that's not it. And just no.
And
Uh,
it's crazy because it's crazy on the other standpoint, because to even have Jamar up there to where he can be even a couple of years ago, we wouldn't have even been really saying Jamar up there with that. We would have been saying Justin Jefferson, because that was the argument. And then Justin Jefferson, that goes to show you
the
one of the
quarterback
things,
got him.
the quarterback is very vital to all of those, because let's be real, Calvin Johnson, if it wasn't for Matthew Stafford, would not have been up there.
Nope.
And then T.O. lucked up and had some very, very good quarterbacks throwing to him. But or mediocre, because he had Jeff Garcia throwing to him for a while in San Francisco and made him look real good.
Until he started getting disrespectful, and Jeff Garcia wasn't on it. It's
Right,
like I know I'm Jeff Garcia and I know UTO, but you better recognize, son.
right. And,
They
and
got me
then
starting for a reason. And Jeff Garcia, he was
he was underrated. but it was
Yes.
because he couldn't he
I
couldn't
mean,
let
when
them
you
over the
come
hump.
behind Steve Young, I mean, yeah, Jeff Garcia was a scrambler, but he wasn't a scrambler like Steve Young. It just,
Steve, Steve, the only time I've seen a team switch quarterbacks like that and not miss a beat is Kansas City and Green Bay. If you really want to think, Green Bay partially,
yeah,
but it was really Kansas City when Kansas City went from from Smith over to Mahomes. They didn't skip. So it's like, what do you do with when Young came after Montana? I was already in the fact that I hated San Francisco because of Montana, and then I'm like,
yeah,
okay, they got rid of Montana. They can't still be. Oh my God, Steve Young is a cheat code. It's Montana with legs. What the hell?
right.
And it was just, and to see Jerry not miss a beat. Then they had To. Then you had to see them just not miss a beat. I was like, oh my God, San Francisco gonna be up here all the daggone time. I'm sick of them.
Yeah,
But
I was a diehard fan, even though I was in Detroit. I was a diehard fan of Lawrence Taylor, and I got tired of them 7-3 games that they kept having with San Francisco every time they played them, and
the defensive struggles.
right,
Like, man, what are you talking about?
like
Defensive struggles.
this ain't a football game, this is a baseball game. What the hell is that?
Like, who hit home run? Who scored? What did y'all do? Fight. Do something.
God, that used to be so annoying, man.
It used to.
All right, so I put this in the chat last night.
I didn't even see it.
We got to spend a few seconds on it.
Okay.
So, I guess Jamarcus Russell is tired of people calling
Doing
him
what?
a bust, and
Then, then figure out a way to show that you're not a bust.
like I show you a bust, I bust you right in your mouth.
That's the only. That's the only way that you get. Wow.
Yeah, it's just like I'll show you a bust, I'll bust you right in your mouth.
Child.
Okay. So on the one hand, I can see where he's coming from though. If he walking down the street, minding his own business, and then you just want to be petty and you just yell it out, I could see him getting irritated over that. But I mean, he kind of took me back with the way because I used to know people that used to, they get mad like that. It's like it's like you hit them with a fact like that. They'd be like, oh, okay, all right, like, yeah, I got big lips, and I'm gonna bust your lips and make them bigger than mine. Yours.
But
Keep talking. Like,
but, but the crazy part about it though is that even with what he's dude can't sit up there and never say anything about somebody being a bust. He can't because he was the epitome of it. You had the
no, that's what he's mad about because he's walking down the street and people are just yelling it out at him.
why wouldn't they? You are what you are.
But now he's sitting in that boat with your boy Kwame. Like don't call me no bus.
What? You are what you said you are. I can't you cannot sit there and get mad about being a bust in the league when you did nothing, when you had your opportunity to show that you could play in the league to be anything except that. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Kwame Brown
That's
can be
it.
mad. All any of these number one draft pick busts can be mad. If you can't, and here's the thing: there's a difference between being a bust because you got injured and you never reached your potential, and being a bust because you were just flat out freaking. No, let me rephrase that: you were flat out fucking lazy. There's no that is the quintessential difference from that. They gave you playbooks. They gave you opportunities to do that. We're dealing with that right now. If you look at Anthony Richardson,
You know what? You know what? I, with him,
part of you wants to sit up there and say no,
with
but part of
him,
you
and
think about it. Think about it.
he he is a he's a victim of the organization's stupidity. I'm sorry. I got to say that.
No, I'm not saying that.
And
I'm not saying that at all.
and
But
and and here's why.
okay,
He didn't have enough games played.
no,
He clearly in college. This is the equivalent of the Bengals picking up Achilles Smith.
yes,
And then everybody looking and you look at Achilles Smith and blame him because the Bengals was stupid enough to pick him up, even though there was clear reasons not to.
right,
And so the longer that I've had to let him being in the league and seeing what happened to him. Now I'm not going to excuse him for the stuff that he did because I'm sorry. If you look at your coach and say, "Hey, I need to come off the field," bro. Yeah, it was their fault for drafting you, but dude, what the hell? You
agreed,
supposed to do something with that opportunity, and and
agreed.
and and telling him like, "Hey, I need to come out." That ain't it.
No,
Because you are ruining it. And that's another example of what I told you of people need to pay attention to some of the actions of some of these quarterbacks, and you will figure out why people are so you basically legitimize them going, yeah, I'm not gonna draft you. I'm gonna draft a Purdy. I'm gonna draft a Gabriel because I I got reason to question your ability on the field, and then you show me your attitude. And history says, uh, in that situation where I'm not seeing a whole lot of talent, but I'm definitely seeing some attitude or some personality, however you want to word it, depending on the person. Yeah, no, we ain't got time for that. I'm gonna draft me a quarterback that might be rough around the edges, but he seems like he's coachable, and I'm not gonna have to deal with the personality or the attitude, which one of the two, because everybody is not gonna be Baker.
right,
You know,
right.
everybody's not gonna be Baker, even when they do pick a most likely they're gonna be a Johnny Manziel, and it's gonna be and I'm pointing him out for those that might say, well, why you just calling us out? No, it ain't just it ain't just us.
No,
It is the money, the way everything is turning around. They are the NFL and the NBA have positioned themselves, and they're not just the only people. The Our people are not the only people that are going to be affected by this,
no,
because like we talked about, there have been some egotistical people. Mostly the brothers get called out for it, yes. Um, but there haven't been very many Johnny Manziels,
no. And
and that's
part
the
of me is
one.
fearful. Part of me is fearful for Mendoza. I'm fearful for Mendoza because part of me is sitting up there thinking because he flashed onto the scene with Indiana in a perfect scheme and a perfect setup. Now you go into a totally different scheme and a totally different setup. Can you continue that? Can you continue that trajectory upward, or were you a product of the scheme? Achilles Smith got
Well,
Achilles Smith got his accolades from that scheme in Oregon that made him look as good as he did in there. But when it got to reading other offenses and everything else, he couldn't do it.
and he the that was also during the time during the 90s where other than recent years where the Bengals that was the worst time to be a quarterback for the Bengals in terms of the offensive line, and that's just that's what it was,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, and that's not being disrespectful. That's just truthful. They aren't the only ones. Just like when me and you were talking about like recent teams, and I've thrown teams like the Raiders. Now I like what they've done, and since I brought them up, you saw that one thing that I sent you where where somebody was basically saying that Cousins is getting away with robbery.
Oh yeah, he is. Cousins,
Like, dude, who, how do you keep doing this
his
where
agent,
it,
his agent is the MVP of the league. If
yes,
anybody, if I was anybody, I want to know who his agent is so he can represent me now.
right, yeah, yeah, because I want a media deal. Let's go. Like, I want
Because
a media
this,
deal.
he's made more than some of the Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in their careers in the same amount of time or less.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, what did you tell them? What do you have on some of these people to where you can sit there and say, you know what? I need to be your quarterback. And you're going to make that happen. Why would I make that happen? Because here's your wife. No, no, no.
What happened?
No, I'm just saying that's how they would be like, here's your
Yeah.
wife. We're signing you right now. Thank you. Like, man, come on. For real. Some of that now is to where it's almost embarrassing to see how bad some of these teams are. They have picked them up, and I get it. They basically, I meant to send you what Bram Warmers did when he did the when he did when they first met,
Uh-huh.
and he sat there. He was sitting there like he's like, oh my god, it's another me. And it was like, yeah, it's bad how similar you two are with that. He said you could possibly be my dad. And he's like, well, I did have a wild night. He's like, where are you from? He's like, Massachusetts. He's like, I did have a wild time one night on Cape Cod. He said, what'd you do? He said, my mom let me have a soda with dinner instead of water. I lost it. That, but this the truth. It is so them two. I can sit up there, hear him saying, you like that? And training him on yelling out, you like that on the sideline for it. Just for the camaraderie. It
And I got respect for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins has been doing this thing even the days he did it against my Wolverines. Um,
yeah,
but
back
but
then he
but
was good.
but bottom line, he was doing this thing. Much respect, but at the same time,
At a certain point, you gotta be up there like, wait a minute, dude.
in
What are you
in
doing?
the playoffs, bro, no, it's that's not it.
Nah,
It's not.
it,
And
it's not. It's bad.
you
It's
haven't,
bad.
you know, um, oh, I forgot to send it to you, but I did see it and I do want to talk about it a little bit.
What you
Um,
got?
Lamar Jackson. Did you
I
hear
saw something come across
did you hear that he turned down like 2 3 year deals that the Ravens tried to give him?
that wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, let me see if I could try to find it without taking.
Now, the smart thing, the reason why I said that wouldn't surprise me is you gotta see how you fit in this new scheme. If this would have been Harbaugh, him doing that, I would have been surprised. But with you got a defensive minded coach and an offensive minded coordinator that's coming from Chicago.
Yeah, but the owner is, the other part of it is remember, even before Harbaugh officially got fired, there was rumblings that he basically said he was not backing down this time. He wanted the high price money that he was supposed to have, that he originally wanted. He was not backing down this time. He wants that money. His mom is his agent. He wants that money. And the
It's
question
going to end up
is
messing them up in the end. It's
that
going to end up screwing them because
so
because he cannot, because if you want that money, you take that money, you want that cap hit, either then you have to bank on the fact of your offense is not going to get better. Your offensive line is the only way your offense is going to get better to protect you and get you out of the yips that you had this season is that they're going to have to draft, and you better hope they develop fast.
yeah,
And that's
from
the
the
only way.
from the looks of it, according to something, let's see here. Uh, he is set to earn 51 million with a 74.5 million salary cap hit under his
Next
current
year.
contract. Uh, he signed a 5-year deal back in 2023, which includes
Mhm.
72 million signing bonus and 185 guaranteed, giving him the average of 52 million. For the 2026, like I said, it's got the 51.25 million with a workout bonus of 750,000 and a cap hit of 74.5 million and dead cap of 86.5. Contract extension restructuring. The Ravens are actively negotiating a contract extension with Jackson before the start of free agency to reduce the ballooning 2026 cap hit. A new deal would provide uh, salary cap relief, blah blah blah. But he's turned down. I saw something that said that he turned down 2 3 year, two
He's
different 3 year deal situations that they tried to offer him, and the question is are they gonna have to?
they're going to be drafting a quarterback next season. I hate to say it, I hate to believe it that it would get to that point, but it's to that point now. They're going to be drafting a quarterback next season. And it sucks like hell that it's going to end that way.
And the
But
question is what is he gonna do? Where is he gonna go? This could actually be worse. His career could literally be over.
let's think about this here. Okay, so let's play it. Let's play it out. Where could he
Okay.
go? Do we think that Miami's drafting a quarterback this season? And
Uh,
and and that would be number one. That would probably be number one target. Because if you look in the AFC East, Buffalo's not going to get off of there. Um, the Jets, possibly, possibly.
he's not
But
going to
the
the
Jets,
Jets.
right? New England doesn't need
They
one.
they
So
need
those
him,
two,
but he's not going to the Jets.
right? But New England's not involved. So New England, Buffalo out. Miami and the Jets are possible. You go to the north, Pittsburgh, possibly. Cleveland, yeah, right. Cleveland would
Bro,
probably throw
the
Cleveland would throw
Browns
the bait
fans
better
would probably burn the city down. It's
to
just,
get him.
I mean, it's like, wait a minute. Now, unless they said give us Lamar and they somehow got rid of Shador, got rid of Deshaun Watson, which that would be the hardest part. They would have a better chance of getting rid of Gabriel and Shador before they.
Gabriel's already out the door, from what I'm hearing. He's not even showing up for to participate in none of their work or nothing. He's done. He don't even want to be a part of it.
Well, yeah, because he's tired of it, and you're wanting. My question is this: the fact that he didn't work. Are you trying to get him to and a lot of athletes unfortunately fall victim to this. And unfortunately we judge them not really paying attention to this at times. When they had him out there, were
Mm-hmm.
they having him do plays that were specifically good for him?
No, no.
And and so it's easy to look and go, look at him, he playing like crap. And kind of like with the situation that we talked about with Cadeau. Yeah, shout out to Cadeau
Yeah.
again. You have my respect, sir. um but yeah, you put him in a
Ooh.
situation where you figure out what his strengths are, you figure out what his weaknesses are. You say, hey, I need you to get rid of them weaknesses, and we're gonna make sure that we that your strengths strive. He needs to go somewhere that's willing to give him a chance, and it's him, not him. I understand there being competition, but make sure that they have a coordinator that figures out what his strengths are. That
Mm-hmm.
way, he can have an honest chance to to thrive.
And that's why I said that if he can do Cleveland is just a place where quarterbacks go to die
Yeah,
career
they're in the
wise.
Raiders.
The Raiders, I think the Raiders sat there and they thought that they was going to catch lightning in a bottle with Pete Carroll coming back, and it was going to be somewhat drastic. The Raiders haven't been right since they got rid of the dude that was the interim head coach that had them battling for a playoff spot. I think when they went up against the Bengals and they lost. Ever since then, they ain't been right ever since. And that was, I think that was what's McCall's last few games that he was with them.
Wait, you're not talking about Antonio.
No, it wasn't. No, it was another interim coach. When they played against the Bengals, and the Bengals ended their streak of playoff losses against
I,
them in that playoff game. They were playing
I
against an interim coach, and then they didn't hire him.
yeah, okay, I remember that, but I just can't remember his name. I got you. Yeah.
I'm looking at because it. That's what it. That's what was when that happened. I was like, y'all should have just went ahead and hired him and let it go.
And just like matter of fact, was that kid AJ? I think the quarterback was named AJ. They had a decent quarterback that had they just given him a full year, I think he was there around that time. And not only did they not give that coach a chance, but they didn't give that quarterback a chance either. They ended up having him be a backup a backup quarterback, and I'm like, all you got to do is fix your line, and he has some high points there. That's when they had Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, and it was Rich. It was Rich Bisakia. That's what his name was. He was the one that took over when Gruden resigned earlier that season, and he had got them to the playoffs. And Derek Carr was the quarterback,
Yeah, and
and
they
that
they,
that's
they
when they
did some
lost it.
pretty good drafting. They did some pretty good. They picked up some pretty good stuff in free agency. It was just trying to get everything to like completely mesh. Um, and that's a hard thing to do. It's I and you gotta let stuff marinate so that you can figure out what you got. And when you figure out what you got, keep the good, if you want to get rid of the so-so and the not okay, okay. But um but be careful about giving away all the so-so because be because you do need to make sure that you can you are going to need some of that so-so because from a financial standpoint.
And see, the crazy thing with that, I just looked it up, and I did that chuckle because I went and I looked at the Raiders. Um, and I typed in Raiders head coaches since 2021. They went from Gruden to Basakia. Then Josh McDaniels was there for 2 years. Then he got fired,
Did a
and
little
they put
spygating.
Antonio Pierce in there. And the funny thing about the response that I got on Google from it was that they went Antonio Pierce. They totally skipped 2025 and went to Clint Kubiak. They didn't even put Carroll in the list. They just said that just never 2025 never happened here in Las Vegas. But that shows you struck out. Pierce got them rallied to where they was playing somewhat good football, but he wasn't
and
a good manager of personnel.
and
And,
I knew that was gonna be short lived. I knew I had to just something in my bones. I was like, because everybody was getting hyped off of it, and I'm like, and matter of fact, I think me and you talked about it, and the first words out of my mouth was, "Yeah, we'll see next year."
yeah, because here's the thing: you can't get a Raider to be the Raiders head coach. You can't, because if you get a Raider, unless you get a winning Raider, you can't get a Raider to be the Raiders head coach. Because all they're gonna think about is they got to play into the silver and black mystique.
Well, he was the players coach, and that's what everybody kept screaming, and I'm like, that
We love them.
that 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 just it's not gonna equate, and because the part that they forgot about was that even though he's a players coach, he's also a hard nosed, tell it like
Those
it is
players, yes.
person, and it's like so you gonna get both. You gonna get yeah. You gonna get the guy that understands because he used to be a player like you, but you also gonna get that dude that's gonna tell you bluntly like, you know what, this ain't it.
Mm-hmm. And they
And
didn't realize that until he
and
started telling them, like,
right, and as soon as they as soon as they realized it, it was like, wait a minute, maybe we don't want him as coach. It's like
he's not as nice as everybody thought said he was. We thought he was gonna be cool. Mm-hmm. Until you start
so
yelling at y'all.
and which he ain't missed a beat. He been sitting up there doing uh uh I want to say doing a podcast or doing a show. I see some reels every so often where he be on the show, just kind of sporting his opinion, and he's as opinionated as he was when he was when he was on the field. So I mean, it is what it
I'm
is.
on board. Do what you do, dude.
So, all right. What was another thing that I saw this weekend? Let me look. What was another thing I saw this weekend? Oh, did you see that? All right. So this was actually funny. I just and I'm probably gonna bust out laughing when I play this right here. But this is from Run It Back FDTV, and it said
Mm.
MVP for MVP.
Oh God.
Well, let me basically what it was the Cousins was picking who would you pick over Giannis? And let me see here. Let me go back. Let me put
Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis. Austin Reeves. Anthony Davis. Austin Reeves. Carl Anthony Towns. LeBron James. Cade Cunningham. Luka Doncic. I did Anthony Edwards. Well, context. Ain't no context. What you doing or not? Jokic. Burger.
Yo, I'm gonna probably go
Now, out of all those that you heard, who would you have picked over Giannis?
from this past season.
Nah, from the list that they just said. You need to hear it again.
Wait, one more time, because I know Luka. I would pick Luka. Possibly, I would pick LeBron. Anthony Edwards.
Anthony Davis.
No.
Austin Reeves.
No.
Carl Anthony Towns.
No.
LeBron James.
Possible.
Cade Cunningham.
Coming, up and coming.
Luka Doncic.
Possible.
Anthony Edwards.
Possible. Up and coming.
What you doing or not? Jokic. Burger.
Yes.
Yeah. Jokic would be the only one. Cade, I would think about it, and that was the funny part when he got to Cade. He made a facial expression. That's why dude came at him like he did, and just as he was just as dude was like Luka, because it was like he said Cade Cunningham, and then he kind of scrunched up his face and kept like he had like a tick, kept
What?
kept moving his face, and then that's what dude. That's why dude was like, "You want a context? Ain't no context. Just pick one." This is
It's like, what do you do?
And then there was this one that I guess I didn't pick it in time, but basically they were saying, God, who were they teaming? Oh Jesus. Oh, I got to start sticking these in the chat when oh, wait a minute. I know where they at. I know why I can't find them. Because I took I know why I can't find them because I I want to say I saved them to my phone. So give me a second. Let me look. Yes. Yes. Okay. So, most disappointing overall number one overall draft picks.
Mm.
Jamarcus Russell, 2007. Kajana Carter, 1995. David Carr, 2002. Eric Fisher, 2013. Jadeveon Clowney, 2014. Uh,
Mm.
Courtney Brown, 2000. Tim Couch, 1999.
Oh Lord.
Uh, uh, Jameis Winston, 2015.
No.
Sam Bradford,
Wow.
2010. And then Kyler Murray, 2019.
No.
Now I saw some people, I saw a comment on it right as I was trying to like save it to my phone. And it said, and you let me know if you agree with this. David Carr and Jameis Winston do not belong on this list.
No, they don't.
Now, for me, if I were to pick one more that didn't belong on the list, to me, I would say Clowney.
Yep.
Now, I will admit that hit that he put on my Wolverines caused a lot of overhype. But
Clowney has had a solid career.
Yeah. He's had a solid career, so I can agree that those three don't. But James
I'm gonna give you one
Jameis.
more. I'm gonna give you one more.
Okay,
And
who we got?
it hurts me to say it, but hindsight being 2020, he's one of the biggest what ifs had it not been for the good old AstroTurf at no, not the AstroTurf, the good old original field turf down at Paul Brown. Good John Carter.
Yeah, you get hurt on the first play.
That was I'm gonna tell you. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna tell you the story.
Okay,
That was the moment I realized the Bengals were cursed in my life.
yeah, that's what
Because
everybody. That's what everybody said. I said it too. Yes.
because you don't have a lot of people don't fail to realize that throughout the years from and sadly I can sit there and name off all the head coaches from Sam Weiss all the way up. People don't realize the fact of we've had quarterbacks that were in the top 5 in passing yards, top 5 in touchdowns, receivers that was in the top 5 in reception yards, touchdowns, yards per catch, running backs that were actually pretty good during that time frame. It just never could ever come all together. We've had defenses that was ranked in the top 5 in the league. But it's always something. That saying that I always have that the Bengals are going to bingle. That is when it started. Because out of all the things that can happen in the world, you have the number 1 draft pick in the league. You take the number 1 player in the league in the country, which was coming off a Heisman year and was probably the best running back anybody had seen in college football since a man named Bo. So, what makes it to where that's ironic is that the last time you saw a man named Bo running on the football field was against said Bengals. And somehow, some way, the football gods had to get their get back. And what was their get back? The very first play after a holdout that he ran the football, he destroyed his knee. And to see him to be watching that preseason game and see the snap and see him go down. And at that moment, I think Carter was what, 94?
According to the Post, 95.
Okay, so it was 94 season was college. So that 95, that would have put me at a ripe old age of 14 years old when that football season started. To hear my mom yell up the stairs, "What are you cussing about?" Because as soon as it happened, and I'm watching on my TV in my bedroom, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" And then I yelled down to her because Jonna Carter just blew out her knee, and my mom. A lot of people will sit there and say they get their football and their love from sports from their fathers. I get a lot of it from my mom. And my mom was like, "You're fucking kidding me," yelling it back upstairs. And I'm like, "No, ma'am, I'm not." And she comes up the steps and she's looking, she says, "I don't believe this." I said, "The Bengals are cursed."
Yeah,
And,
that's what
and from
everybody
there,
said.
that's from that point on, that's when I realized I took everything with a grain of salt when it came to the Cincinnati Bengals because I always knew somehow, some way, the other shoe was going to drop, and we were going to figure out a way to take what we did or where we were at, and it was going to end up being something negative in the back end of it. That's why I never get up too high on them when things are going well because
Right.
I know for a fact something's going to happen. It never fails. And the time when the time when something finally doesn't happen, when we get to that point and we get over that threshold and we actually win a championship or something like that, that means all of our debts, no, not all of our debts, all of the Brown family's debts have been paid back to the football gods for whatever they did that we don't know. Because that is to think about some of the freakish the freakish ways of things happening to us. And that was like the first real shot of where it was like, damn, for real, our luck is that bad, our karma is that bad. So yeah, that's why I will always say Kajana will always be one of the biggest what ifs in the league, because he never got really a chance to show what he could do in college. And folks, if you don't know what the John Carter looked like when he was playing, go look him up on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because his YouTube game, oh man, no, that man was outrageous.
All right. So, okay. Now, this was good, and I'm glad I found this because this like intrigued the hell out of me. I knew I had to do this today. All
Okay.
right. Now, which duo would you get rid of? Um, Wait, is that how they put it? No, they actually said which one would you pick to get you championships? Would it be Joker and Duncan, Jabbar and Dirk, Garnett and Shaq, or Hakeem and Giannis? Yeah, yeah, yeah. And matter of fact, we gonna do both. You pick one to get rid of,
Run
and
them
it
by me again one more time.
Joker and Duncan, Jabbar and Dirk, Garnett and Shaq, Hakeem and Giannis.
Oh no, that's a no-brainer. No-brainer for me. Who would you get rid of?
Yes.
Easily. Jabbar and Dirk.
Really?
Yes. Jabbar and Dirk would be my two to get rid of.
Okay.
The two, and it says the two that it was two you would get rid of and two you would keep.
Yeah, yeah. Who would you get rid of, and who would you keep? And who would you keep to get you the championships?
Who I keep and who I would keep to get me the championships.
Yeah, basically, yeah. Who would you keep to get you the championships? Like which one of these four would you pick? These four options would you pick to start your championship team?
Mm. One of them should be obvious, but then another person that's in that same setting is the only person that really took him to school.
Right.
And then the third one that's in that group is probably two of the most fundamental big men in the world.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, yeah, this would be fun. This would be fun. Yeah.
So I'm going to say this, and
Okay.
people are probably going, if they see this show, they're probably going to berate me. Give me Jokic and Duncan.
You, you know what? I was torn because obviously Duncan is my Spurs and that's what they did. They put Duncan and Jokic in Spurs uniform. they put Jabbar and Dirk in the Mavericks. Basically, it was all about the West Coast.
Right.
Even if they played for like an East Coast team, it didn't matter. Everybody got put in the West Coast outfit. Garnett and Shaq is in the Lakers uniform. And then obviously Hakeem and Giannis um, is in the Rockets. Now I was torn on this one, but I because my picks would either be Joker, uh, Joker and Duncan, or Hakeem and Giannis. And
So
I I I gotta I I'm with you. I gotta go Duncan and Joker because as good as Giannis is, and as good as I know Hakeem would get him fits, but the question is would who between the two would Giannis be able to outdo? And I don't know. I just
see,
I
okay. So the quick way to break this down,
okay.
it was exactly how I thought about it. Okay, first person, if it for any NBA fan, you say Shaq and Garnett, you immediately gonna sit there and say, "Oh my God, yep, that's the most dominant." But then you gotta remember, Shaq's biggest Achilles heel was a fundamental center.
Yeah.
He could not get it took him his hardest time once Duncan and Robinson really took foothold in the league. They couldn't get past him. He couldn't get past them. Even with Kobe, he couldn't get past them. So okay, so that and then Garnett's biggest headache was Duncan. Duncan would school him all the time. So that eliminates him. And then the other part for Shaq that messed him up was Olajuwon.
Yeah.
Olajuwon would kill him. So if you got Olajuwon against Shaq, and then you got Giannis, who could physically push. Yes, KG was tall and lanky, but he didn't have that girth. So Giannis would be able to body him up in there for it. And so it would be to where you would have to, could KG take a sustained pounding like that? So that's what dropped them down to being third out of that list of four because of the dynamic. So now you got probably the best footwork center in NBA history in Olajuwon and one of the best power forwards possibly in the current era in Giannis going against one of the current best footwork and fundamental center in the league in Jokic, and then the best fundamental power forward of all time and Duncan. Picture this. Jokic would have Olajuwon out at the three-point line guarding him and trying to shoot and shooting threes over him. He could be able to handle it. Or he would be able to handle the rock out there and be able to set up Duncan on the post against Giannis. And yes, Giannis was physical, but Duncan was underrated with his physicality. He could sit there and bang with the best of them down there for it. And he had the pump fakes and everything else to get you up in the air to where you would be in foul trouble if you jump too early too much on him anyway.
Right.
So that's how you would have to stair step it. That is a great topic. It's a great subject, but it's levels to it. And when it comes down to the one thing, society loves to build basketball players based off of the athletic ability and not the fundamentals. But then as soon as you start looking at the numbers for it, you can't knock the fundamentals. Duncan's nickname was the big fundamental.
Yeah.
And Jokic, I think Jokic is the first player in NBA history to lead the league in assists and in rebounds in the same season.
Yeah.
There you go. He's a two-time MVP and a champion. No, no. I love Olajuwon. I love watching the videos where Olajuwon was working with Giannis and on them about their footwork and how to do the drop steps and everything else like that. Love seeing that. But Giannis would have to stay healthy,
Right.
and Giannis would have to show me something else to be able to say that would pick him over Jokic and Duncan.
And something got brought up about Jokic, and it's the absolute positive truth. You can
Mm-hmm.
say whatever you want about the fact that Joker is big and slow. You can't stop it. You can't stop him. So what does it matter? It like okay, he's big and he's slow, but he literally lulls you to sleep, and clearly you can't stop it. You can't defend it. So what's the point of even bringing that up?
Because they want to bring it up because they got to try to find an excuse as to why this man is they're dominating the league the way that he has been for the past almost decade. And it's not, and it's because when it comes down to it, he is, if everything in the NBA is based off the tortoise and the hare, he's the tortoise. You never know, you don't understand how he's beating you. You see it coming and you can't stop it. He's going right past you. He's shooting over you. He's dropping bounce passes between your legs around you. He looks like that he is what, and I'm gonna give you a name, and I saw it and I laughed when I seen it during the NCAA tournament because it's who he reminds me of body wise with more fundamentals. Big Country Bryant Reeves.
I haven't heard him in the longest. I haven't heard that name, Big Country. Yeah, and but because of people like Shaq and stuff, he didn't really get the respect he deserved
No.
because he wasn't on their level. So a lot of people didn't really respect him like that. But he was another one of those tough players, man.
Mm-hmm.
And um and uh and and that's that just I think somehow some way we're gonna have to me and you're gonna have to put our heads together. We're gonna have to delve into that a little bit. I don't know if we're gonna go team by team, and just pick a year here or there and just bounce around a little bit. I don't know how we're gonna do it.
With when it comes to what part of it?
Just making sure that people know about the players that were around that were beasts in their own right. Like me and you were talking about last week. People need to know about Larry Johnson. Like
They
Larry Johnson in the league, if it wasn't for him being hurt, he was a problem. Um uh X-Man,
Larry McNeil.
a lot of the Knicks teams and
Oh
the
God, with
squads that
Charles
they
Oakley
had and and
and John Starks and Patrick Ewing. A lot a lot of things with any type of NBA fans or any type of sports fans is that media now is totally different than what it was 20 years ago. So a lot of things that we used to be sitting up there, we would
yeah.
sit. Yeah, I got you. A lot of things that we used to sit up there and used to hammer on and be able to show out and see. We see regularly now. We had to sit there and watch NBA inside stuff on Saturdays. We had to go and go to Blockbuster or something and go rent the NBA highlight films for certain teams and everything else like that. Like I told you before, one of the best things that I found going through my old house is the whole Michael Jordan collection of Come Fly With Me and Playground and things like that they used to do where they would compile their highlights and stuff. We got YouTube where people can sit there and do all that now for it, but also use YouTube to look at the history. Go back and look at these players. You can type in these players' names and see a whole list of their highlights for it. WCPO Channel 9 flashback to their story of when UC was up in Minnesota playing in the Final Four back in '92. A lot of people weren't even born that might watch this that might not have known UC played in the Final Four. I was lucky enough to be alive when that happened. That's what made me love Coach Huggins. And then they sat there and they said, the crazy thing about it is that tying into our conversations with NIL and team building, when Huggins came in there, we already dealt with something that was similar to free agency and NIL. It was called JUCO. And everybody, most of that team that they sat there and they built, and Michigan reminds me of that team this year from what they built at UC. Every one of those players that was on that Final Four team was a JUCO transfer that came in. Van Exel, Eric Martin, Blunt, Terry Nelson, all of them was all transfers from either Akron, where Huggins was before he came down, or from all over the places. You would have never thought that Terry Nelson and Corey Blunt, they from Long Beach, California. How did they end up in Cincinnati? And Corey Blunt parlayed that into an NBA career.
Yeah.
They showed that you don't have to be the highly recruited players and everything for it, that you just got to have the coaching and buy into the coaching, like you always say, and you'll become what they was, which was a Final Four team that ran through a league that back then people don't realize, looking at the history of basketball, UC used to play into a league. They had Anthony Hardaway. They played against Kemba Walker. They played against, who else was it? Trajan Langdon when they upset Duke.
Yeah.
I forgot who else was on the team. They went up against Chris Webber in the Fab Five in that semifinal game and lost. Those are those things to where you can't. Those are the history. It's real easy to know what's going on in the here and now and in the recent history. Go back into what players now use as a basis that they saw when they were growing up with the model they play in and enhance they playing style to become who they are.
Dang.
What's up?
The WNBA cleaning out UCLA.
Yeah, because they all was seniors. That's why I said that this is the only league. We can transition into this real quick.
Yeah.
I don't like this. And I'm gonna tell you why. These girls don't even get a chance to savor the fact that they just won a national championship. Where the NBA is going into their playoffs, and then their combine and everything is like the week after the finals ends, and then the draft is like 2 weeks out of this. There's a difference between having the draft 2 weeks after the NBA regular season is over and having a women's WNBA draft 2 weeks after the college basketball season is over. You're not giving these women no chance for no break or anything, because as soon as they get drafted, the season starts in about 2 or 3 weeks. So from the last time they played, from UCLA winning the championship last Sunday to being drafted a week and a couple of days later,
Yeah, but here's the problem. You got to have the season during a time that you feel like everybody's gonna watch. That's the
But
problem.
if that's the case, then why do it, this is the only league that doesn't that staggers it to where they feel that way. Because if you look at women's soccer versus men's, they run at the same time. There is no football comparison. And then
Yeah,
women's
but
softball,
soccer.
but soccer had $1 million contracts before the WNBA did.
No, right. That's my point. Soccer is different. Soccer is different because they fans are.
Oh
I
yeah, I'm not this.
I've never heard any like difference in like when people are talking like men's soccer and women's soccer. I've never heard a difference in that like I have like when you talking about the WNBA and the NBA. When people usually talk about women's soccer, they usually the people that do are just as excited as they would be as when they're talking about men's. That's been my experience of the people that I've met that have watched it. So I feel like that's got something to do with it. It's like they know that they can air them at the same time because they know that soccer fans is gonna watch. Basketball, it don't hit like that because remember, um, you remember, God, it's still by far my favorite episode of Futurama is uh I call it Death by Snoo Snoo, but and it's where they end up on that Amazon island
Mhm.
and they end up they end up attacking the guys because they made fun of women's basketball. And they had B. Arthur. They had B. Arthur was the she was the fembot, but the Amazons didn't know she was a fembot because it was kind of like the Wizard of Oz. She was hiding behind. She was hiding behind stuff. So
What?
so 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 the Amazon women captured them and they talking to her and they like they made fun of women basketball, but but uh and then B.
Lord.
Arthur's like, but did you tell them that their fundamentals made up for their inability to dunk? And the Amazon was like, yeah, we told them that. And I don't I'm telling you, if you can find Futurama somewhere, you gotta find that episode. I believe this episode is season 3. It's a depending on because there are some apps that will not show that one. So it will be hard to find, I'm gonna tell you. Because there was one spot where I found it
And then they
and
took it down.
where it was another spot where I knew it was, they had totally cut it out. They wouldn't even let it be on there because of what it was about. But anyway, yeah, if you find that find that episode Death by Stu Stu, God, that is so hilarious. But yeah, and you know that you've watched some shows where the guys were making fun of women's basketball.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's like it's like they don't really respect it like that. And it's like, but yeah. So yeah. To me, my personal opinion, compare. We can't really compare like women's soccer and men's soccer to men's basketball and women's basketball because the soccer fans they go nuts for them some soccer. like
Oh yeah, I get that. But I'm saying like, but in this instant of we talk about the health and well-being of players,
okay,
and you turn around, you sit up there and you turn around, they've gone from late September, early October through March, a week after they championship game, they get drafted into the WNBA. And then a week after that, which means if they had any type of combine, that was right after the NCAA's was over with.
right.
And then 2 weeks after that, they go for media day with their teams, and then they start practicing next week. it's like, okay, do they get a break? And then they gotta go through, then they going through all this, and they go through this entire season up until October. So they almost go a full calendar year straight of playing basketball from their come out year through their come out year of college to the end of the WNBA season once they get to the playoffs.
Okay, so don't absolutely positively quote me on this.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently they do, according to Googling it on the internet on MSN Chrome. It
Mm-hmm.
says, yes, the WNBA holds a combine where top college players showcase their skills. It does not say when. Says the WNBA is a relatively recent let's see. Currently, the WNBA's combine is integrated with the Lilly Women's College All Star Combine, which occurs annually just before the NBA draft. So it's like you said, they literally do it right before the draft.
So, and that's what I'm saying. There's no break, especially
Yeah,
for because you got to think about it. Fudd was the number one pick, and she played in the national championship game. No, she played in the semifinal. So she
yeah,
played that Saturday before, no, that Friday before, and then had a week off and was not and then in the combine.